Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here, and we're in Studio B today with another special guest, and we have some really good information you're going to enjoy, and you're going to learn some things, I can promise you. But first, let's take a look at our weather, brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Right here in Southport, Drew Pollard and his crew working hard to make us comfortable, which is important. Okay, high today 77, low 49, water temperature at the end of the pier 70.2. Today, talking about the pier, we're taking 41 Mosley Outdoor Ed kids, outdoor ed seniors out to the county pier, and we're going to let them fish a couple hours this morning, hopefully catch them all kind of fish, Spanish, pompano, cobia, and all kinds of stuff we're going to fish for. So I'm looking forward to the trip. If you're out that way, stop by and say hello. Our river reading brought to us by Mountain Dew, on the outdoors of Mountain Dew. We're looking at the Apalachicola Bluntstown 9.6, and like I said yesterday, it's going down. And the Choctaw at Carrotville, 9.4. Both rivers are going down, so we're in pretty good shape. Hopefully we don't get much rain next couple of days, and we'll have a lot better situation for our weekend fishing trip on the river. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Good week of tides. We're looking at a low tide at 2:30 this morning, coming in at 141 this afternoon to be the high tide. But the wind is coming in, they're calling for northwest at 17. They're saying 10 to 20, so they're running off to 17. So it's going to be blowing. So the tide's not going to be coming in strong with that northwest wind holding it back like that. All right, we're going to take a break and come back with our special guest. Welcome back. A familiar face here in Panhandle Outdoors, Steve Shea.
Good to see you, Winston.
Back, man.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Been trying to get him back the last couple of weeks. This man's been busy. Before we talk about what you've been doing, what do you got coming up real quick? You're telling me you got.
Well, yeah, Thursday I'm heading to Missouri. I'm taking my dad up there turkey hunting. So we're going to chase easterns up there in Missouri, northern Missouri. From there I'm going to Vermont. I can visit my kids and grandkids up there, and my son and I are going turkey hunting up in the mountains of Vermont. So my turkey season's not over yet.
Yeah, he's staying busy, so we are doing that. Okay, tell us, we've got a couple weeks left in turkey season. Let's see.
Yeah, we only got 5 days left.
5 days. This is the last week. Time has flown by.
Oh, it has.
So we want to get this information out to you, and then we've got all kinds of things going on in outdoors, and Steve is the expert, and been doing a lot of gator stuff. We'll get to that stuff later about the gators,
sure.
But let's talk turkey.
All right, well, yeah, turkey hunting, I mean, that's one of my favorite things. I love bow hunting whitetails and love chasing turkeys. And it's interactive, because, working the bird and whatnot, so it's not like you're sitting in a deer stand waiting for a deer to come. You're actually making it happen when you're turkey hunting. But it's interesting. I talk to a lot of people, I've killed, so many turkeys, it's hard to even remember how many. And they said, well, what does it take to be a successful turkey hunter? And they said, you got to be a good caller. And I said, turkey hunting's not calling. Turkey, at 15% of your success turkey hunting is calling. 85% is knowing how to hunt them. Knowing the landscape, knowing the land. You hear him gobble, you know where he's at. You hear him gobble next, you know where he's going, so you can kind of move on him strategically. When to sit and be patient, when not to sit. All these things come into play. It's funny, I'll take novice turkey hunters and I'll see some of the things that they want to do, and I'll say, oh, no, you don't want to do that now. And so a lot of it is just experience. I learned the hard way. I can't count how many turkeys survived because I didn't know what I was doing in my younger days, but that's how you learn. But if you have someone that you can go with that is experienced, you can learn all those lessons without having to pass up birds and make a mistake. So that's the only recommendation.
Mental program almost, like mentoring.
It's crazy. I'm gonna tell you, it's you look at these old time turkey hunters, they're good at it because they've been doing it a long time and they've learned. And the thing I like about turkey hunting, there's no two hunts the same. The same. So everyone is different. And when you hunt whitetails, the antlers are different, and so that's what's special about it. Each antlers that you have are unique. Well, turkey hunting, most of the turkeys look the same. They'll have different length spurs or beard lengths, but it's the hunt is what's different, and that's what makes it unique. So that's what I really value about turkey hunting.
That is so cool. I know so many people are doing it and keep a record. You tell me, I'm telling you, make sure you chalk it up when you get them, because you're going to, later on you get older, you're going to forget some of them. So make sure you keep a record of it. Are you well over 100 now, probably?
Yeah, I've probably killed about 120, 125 birds, but I've called in more than that for other people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the thing I value the most is I've kept a record of this. I've called in 28 birds for first-time harvesters, and most of those have been kids.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's
you know
great.
that's I love just taking people and
Yeah.
you know, I mean it's fun.
That's great. Well, here in Florida, we're blessed because we have 2 special species. I mean, it was really cool the way we have set up here.
Yeah, what's unique is, you know, a lot of hunters across the nation try to hunt for a Grand Slam, so they try to kill the Eastern, the Rio Grande, the Merriam's, and the Osceola. Well, you got to come to Florida to kill the Osceola. Those other species you can kill several states, but not the Osceola. And this map basically shows the range of the Osceola in Florida. You know, basically, if you draw a line diagonally from Jacksonville down to Chiefland, everything south is considered, for the record books, an Osceola. And but you know, in Northwest Florida, where we hunt here, we basically have a hybrid. I find, especially along the coast, I've killed some turkeys on the coastal areas of eastern Northwest Florida that look more Osceola than some of the ones I kill down in
No kidding. So
Osceola County.
I thought about that. You
Yeah.
could get a hybrid.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting, and this photo actually shows the main difference where you can tell an Osceola from an Eastern. You see the Osceola has real narrow white barring in the primary feathers of the wings, and lots of times it almost looks like mottled. So that when it's in the field and that turkey strutting, it looks a lot more darker than the Eastern or the other subspecies. If you look at the Eastern wings, see how distinct and wide those bars are. So it's so obvious when you see those turkeys strutting, you see all that white when you're hunting the other subspecies. But with Osceolas, you don't see that. So that's the primary difference between the two.
That's cool. That's a good distinction right there. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, next slide. This is good here.
Oh yeah, you know, a lot of people, you know, when think about turkeys, and it's funny, it's like on your leash, they said, "Dang, I heard a few gobblers over in this area, and I haven't been hearing them this week." Well, you know, turkeys will range. I mean, they range anywhere from 350 to 1,500 acres, depending on the habitat. I find in these heavily wooded habitats that we have in Northwest Florida, it's probably between 300 and 500 acres. But you know, I mean, I'm getting older and I can't hear very well. I used to be able to hear a turkey way off. Now I can hear them maybe 300 yards, 350. But in real thick wooded habitats, it's harder to hear them. So those birds may just be roosted someplace else in that home range, and so and they will rotate around like that. So you know, don't get distressed if you're not hearing birds. They're probably still there for sure.
I've seen even on our little piece of land and all, where we have turkeys there, and all of a sudden they disappear. And have people call me and tell me, "I had some turkeys, but they're gone now." But that's what they're doing. They're just roaming around.
Yeah.
They're just moving around.
But, you know, another mistake or misconception that a lot of hunters have, you know, they have cameras out year round, and they'll say, I got tons of birds on my lease this year. And then spring comes and they don't. Well, what happens is, you know, turkeys will flock up and bunch up in the wintertime, and especially toms. They enter bachelor groups. And what will happen is those bachelor groups in the wintertime, they'll be coming to feeders and different things you have like that. Well, once spring hits, they'll all disperse because they don't want the competition. You may see a pair of toms, whatnot, but those big groups of, you know, 6, 7, 8 birds, they all disperse. And the same thing with the hens. Hens with their young of the year will group, and you may have 2 or 3 family flocks of dominant hens with their poults from that year will group up. Well, then they disperse. And so what you're seeing is just the natural biology and movement ecology of turkeys throughout the year. But don't get distressed. I mean, there'll still be birds on your lease, but they won't be as concentrated. I find guys that supplementally feed year-round and have good open fields, that they'll attract those winter flocks in, and there'll be a whole bunch of them there. Then they'll disperse out in the spring when there's a lot more food available every place else.
And that's just nature, the process of nature right there.
Yeah,
The food is out there, and they don't have to do it.
Yep,
I've seen that happen. Yep.
Yeah. But you know, what's also interesting is when hunters out gobbling, I find that sometimes peak gobbling is right around when, or just before the season opens. And well, peak gobbling usually occurs prior to peak breeding. And a lot of people don't realize that. And that occurs throughout the whole nation. You know, the breeding season in Florida too is you know, it's south of Highway 70 in South Florida. Their season opens earlier than it does up here. So you know, day length, you know, on those longer days, that's what spurs breeding in most birds and some mammals as well. but it's also influenced by weather. So in extreme South Florida, their peak breeding is probably a little, a week earlier than Central Florida, and ours is probably a week later than Central Florida. But it's all within that same, period. March and April is prime time. But when you get way up north, it's May. Most seasons up there don't start until late April or 1st of May.
Yeah, that's true. Good point there. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with a lot more good information on this. We'll be right back. We're rolling. Okay, go ahead.
We'll go in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. So here, our good friend and very knowledgeable outdoorsman, Steve Shea. Always love having him on Panhandle Outdoors, and I know I get so much feedback from y'all when he's on, so we appreciate it. So, Steve, keep on going, buddy. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, another thing, when you're out in the field, lots of times you're hunting where turkey's been. Well, there's certain things that you can look for. And the other thing, we have a slide up that shows that there's a difference between the turd of a hen turkey and a gobbler turkey. The tom turkey, now you can't tell if it's a Jake or a tom, but it'll be a J-shaped shape to the turd or the feces. Yeah.
For the hen.
And the hen, for the tom.
For the tom, okay.
And the hen has like a squiggly, end to it. And
I never knew that.
And it's classic. I mean, it's always that way with turkey. So if you're in a food plot or field, or if you do check your feeders during the season, even you can't hunt under them, but you check them as a sight to see. If you see those turds, you see those J-shaped turds, well, you know that there was tom there. Those squiggly ones are hens. And then the track too. I mean, I can't remember that. I mean, a tom track is significantly larger than a hen track, and you can't tell the difference. Sometimes I can tell a big dominant tom where if it's muddy and you actually see the width of the toes and how much it sticks in, that's a big tom.
Okay, that's cool.
The other thing in sandy areas, when a tom is strutting, and the ends of the primary feathers will always be worn off on a tom that's strutting, because he's strutting and that's dragging the ground. And lots of times in those sand roads that we have in Northwest Florida, you'll look and you actually see turkey tracks and you'll see the drag marks of the wings. So then you know that was probably a dominant tom that was out there strutting, and that's a sign they leave when they're strutting. So these are things that you can look for where you're in the field to kind of capitalize that, hey, well, I know there's toms in these areas.
That's cool.
But you want to talk a little about the breeding chronology?
Yes.
Okay, well, a lot of people have misconceptions about what turkeys are doing in the spring, but basically, turkeys will try to find, or hens will find, like thicker areas. They like wide open places so they can avoid predators, both the adults and the poults. But when they're nesting, they'll try to find like a briar patch or a more thicker type of habitat that they'll go in and that's to lay their eggs. And this nest shows a typical one that you would find here in Northwest Florida. But what hen will do is she'll be breeding, and she'll breed with several different toms, throughout the spring. But she'll go off to her nest site. She'll lay 1 egg a day, and then she'll.
That's interesting. Just 1 egg a day.
1 egg a day, and they'll do that. They'll lay a clutch of 9 to 12 eggs, and once she's done with her last one, then she'll start incubating. Okay, because she wants all those to hatch at the same time. If she started incubating right when she laid the first one, that one would hatch 2 weeks before the last one, so she can't do that.
Okay.
So that's why they do that, and they hatch off in about 28 days. But what's interesting is only about half of the nests that actually are eggs laid in will actually survive because of nest predation. So that's unbelievably high.
Yeah, I guess once a predator gets in there, they're going to eat all the eggs and everything, basically. And
they find a nest, they'll get every one. They'll wipe the whole thing out.
Wow.
But one of the good things is if a hen's nest is destroyed while she's laying or just after she starts incubating, she'll re-nest.
Okay.
And she'll make another nest. But if it happens later season, the gig's up, on that. So. And this slide shows a group of hens, and remember I told you they'll actually get their poults and they'll bring them together.
Yeah.
So. And then what poults do is they're actually roosting on the ground with the hen until they're have enough skeletal structure and feather development so they can actually fly and roost with her. But it's at 2 weeks when they're roosting on the ground is when most of the mortality happens. And once they get up in the tree, there's a high survival rate once they can roost in the air.
Well, what's their biggest predator right there on the ground?
Well, on the ground, raccoons and possums are terrible. They're terrible. But everything will eat them. Coyotes, bobcats, fox, hogs.
Yeah.
They all eat, eggs. And so that's why it's such a high. But, if you get a 3 to 4 poults survive per hen, that's extremely high.
Wow.
I would say on most of Florida, it averages around 2. 2 poults per hen.
Out of
actually
all those
survive.
eggs and everything,
Yeah.
it's going to be 2 make it. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
only 2 make it.
nature. Yeah, that's nature.
Yeah, and it's funny is I've actually found several nests in the past, and they're always in that. Like I find them in briar patches or thicker areas, and I've actually found poults before that have run off and that couldn't fly. And they just lay down. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen hens will do that. If you surprise a turkey,
They'll squat.
And they'll just squat, and they'll almost flush like a quail. You don't see that very often because turkeys don't like to fly. They're really powerful flyers. They can fly up to 55 miles an hour, but for a very short distance. So they'll fluff, and then they'll soar.
Yeah.
And that's usually what you see, but they're built to be ground birds. Just like all those, like pheasant, turkeys. They're ground birds. I mean, they have, their legs. That's why it's hard. You have to really pressure cook a turkey's legs if you want to make soup of them.
They're strong.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take our final break. We'll be right back with Steve. Welcome back. Before we get back with Steve, let's look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. We're looking at this morning, 7:06 to 9:06. You can jump on that pretty quick. And tonight, 7:32 to 9:32. All right, we've got a plethora of information, so let's. I hope we can get it all in. So you keep going.
Well, a lot of people talk about the Grand Slam turkey hunt. They kill the Eastern, the Rio Grande, the Merriam's, and the Osceola. So I've done it several times, but not in the same year. A lot of people try to do it in the same year, which is something else.
Wow.
But we're going to show a few slides of some of the birds for this year. I killed a couple Osceolas this year down in South Florida.
That's great pictures.
Yeah. So there's a ranch that I manage down there. I'm kind of helping the guy along. He's a novice turkey hunter, average turkey hunter, and so he wanted me to spend some time with him. So, this is a couple other slides. These are some corker toms. Both these toms are in the 20-pound class.
Wow.
11-inch beard on the one on the left. That's an Osceola as well from down in Levy County. And that's my dad there.
My dad. That's your dad on the right.
That's my dad. I called in that bird for him. He's 85 years old, and he still goes all the time. And that was his 80th turkey. He keeps records of every turkey he's killed.
Well, you got to kill 5 more, so have one for each year.
Yeah, well, that's his goal. His goal is from the time he dies, he wants his turkey count to be equal to his age. So he says, I think I can still do it.
That's a good goal. Good goal.
Yeah. And this is Brian Murphy, good friend of mine. He was for 20 years the CEO of the Quality Deer Management Association, which is now the National Deer Association. They just merged and changed names. But that's his daughter, Lauren, who's in college up in Georgia, and she's killed 1 turkey, and so her goal was to kill an Osceola. So we took her down to Osceola Outfitters, and that's my friend Hoppy Kempfer, and we called in that bird for her. And so that was a fun hunt. We had a few days with some close calls, and finally she closed the deal. So
wow.
You can tell she's a happy camper there.
Yes, she is.
But I tell you what, the turkey in Florida Osceolas, they're not easy to hunt. The thing about Osceolas is they gobble. I find on roost they gobble later on the roost, and they don't gobble as much. Like Easterns and Rios and Merriams, it seems like Merriams, they'll gobble all day long. And so it's a lot easier to hunt them when you know they're gobbling, you know where they're at. Like in Florida, the turkeys tend to be a lot more quiet, and I think it's because it's thicker habitat. So, they only know a predator's close when they're close enough to see him. Out, in those open country, they can see a long ways off, so they feel more comfortable, gobbling in those open habitats. In these closed habitats, they don't like gobbling as much. And so I think that's why Osceolas can be harder to hunt. Like say, if you're in the woods, if you hear them gobbling, you get, okay, I can make this something happen. Right. If you don't hear them gobbling, where do you go? What do you do? So it makes it harder hunting Osceolas.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got our turkeys covered. So what else have you been up to?
Well, work has been so busy. Had kind of a down year with COVID last year, but doing so much alligator work, so much deer work, bringing on a bunch of new clients. I'm up over, I think, 250,000 acres that I'm managing for whitetails right now, and about 50 properties doing alligator work on, too. So.
When you say alligator work, you just getting population and size? What are you doing now?
Yeah, we do all the egg collections.
Okay.
I work for the Louis Vuitton company that owns the largest farm in Florida, so we do all their egg collections, and then I do adult counts on a bunch of private lands and send in the survey to the FWC, and they issue tags based on those surveys.
On the size. Okay, very good.
So a lot of another cool thing I'm doing is Ivan Carter. A lot of you guys heard Ivan Carter. He has Carter's War on the Outdoor Channel about combating poaching in Africa. Well, he approached me to work on a film that they're doing on, it's the Hard Truths of Conservation. And they're going to talk about alligators and how alligators came back in Florida and some of the harvest and commercial aspects of alligator management that has helped contribute to that recovery. And so, and Dan Cabela with Cabela's, you know, well, he's the host of the show.
Oh, cool.
You know, Cabela's sold to Bass Pro Shop. But Dan is actually hosting the show, so I'll be working with him and Ivan, which those guys are so cool, especially Ivan. I always say, man, I can't wait to meet this guy, and I'm actually getting to work with him. So so we're going to be filming that show this summer. So
yeah, they probably won't have a Studio B. It might be a little more dressed up than this. You'll probably be doing good, and they'll have 5 or 6 people doing what Jeff does.
Yeah.
But, so I know that's going to be exciting and all. So let us keep us posted when it's going to air.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
So you think the gator population is pretty healthy in Florida?
Oh yeah, there's no shortage of gators. I mean, it just amazes me, you know, when I'm out surveying properties and how many alligators are out there. Well, you know what the crazy thing is the market for hides for wild alligators. People in private lands used to harvest, you know, thousands of wild alligators, but they could sell the hides. Well, now the tanning in the industry that makes those alligator products, leather products, they won't buy those wild hides because they're scarred and has imperfections because living in the wild and alligators fighting. So it's almost like they can't sell them now. So most of the money in private lands alligators is trophy hunts. You know, now the meat is still really valuable, but it's hard to get people to take the alligator just for what they make off the meat if they can't sell the hide. So it's really impacted, you know, the number of alligators.
That's interesting. Those companies they just farm alligators and then get the hide. Is that what they do?
Yeah. They basically grow them out to a certain length class, and then they'll make, you know, watch bands, purses, you know, belts, and then they'll sell the meat. But you know, the meat is going for like $7.50, $8 a pound. I mean, it's a novelty item. You know, the meat is.
Yeah.
But
we got about a minute left, Steve. What else?
Well, my boat's been in the shop and it's killing me. I'm supposed to get it back this week, but then I'm running off turkey hunting. So when I get back, May, I'm going to start hitting the water hard, start doing some fishing. You know? Okay. People think I don't even work, but I do. I work hard, but I play hard too when it comes to
like a lot of us, so you enjoy your work. So it's a lot of fun. Good luck on your turkey hunts coming up, and make sure your dad gets some more. Make sure he's
yeah. So he's going to inch up to that 85 mark. So he can kill 2 in Missouri, so he'll get up to 82 now. So we'll see.
Okay, getting close. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Steve, thanks so much for coming on. Always good stuff.
Glad to be here. I love it.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate the viewership. Always do something good today for your fellow man. You have a great day, and God bless.
God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.